Before we get into the show and introduce today's guest, I would just like to thank United Medical Credit for being sponsors of this podcast and of the business of dentistry. As a matter of fact, they have a special offer for business of dentistry members, 0% merchant fees for the rest of the year, and 30% discount for life after that. You can get that special deal by either going to docoffinvestments.com and clicking on the deals section, or by going directly to www.unitedmedicalcredit.com/TBOD. Thanks again, UMC.
Welcome to the Dear Doc Podcast, where we will discuss the business of running a dental practice with a panel of experts. Now, your host, Dr. Christopher Hoffpower.
Hey guys, welcome to the Dear Doc Podcast. This is Dr. Christopher Hoffpower, your host, coming to you again from my home studio here in Alvin, Texas. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, Dr. John Nakhla. And I made sure before we came on air that I wasn't going to murder his name. But I do want you to tell us, John, you said you knew a little bit about where it came from. I think that'd be super cool to know. But first, let's tell them where you are, what you do, and why you're on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me on, Chris. Like you said, Dr. John Nakhla. I am based out of the San Francisco Bay Area, born and raised out here, actually. And I am a consultant to a lot of young dentists, particularly in the startup space, as they kind of start their private practice careers and are exiting associateship or considering exiting associateship. That is kind of an evolution from where I started. I started out spending a lot of years being a bunch of other people's associates and looking at a bunch of other practices, seeing what I liked about them and what I never wanted to do myself as a kind of the do's and don'ts of being a practice manager. Went from there to corporate, spent a little time seeing what that DSO corporate level of organization looks like, and some of the analytics and metrics that they would integrate into their practice models that maybe the mom and pops weren't as commonly using or leveraging. But then also saw that kind of resulted in a soulless entity as a practice, and the slippery slope between patient care and profits, and how sometimes if you're not careful, balancing those two together and aligning them with one another isn't as easy as it seems.
Absolutely.
So from there, I backed out of the whole corporate model and said, I need to do this myself. Found my first practice and in the Bay Area here, and did that for about a year. Found my second practice, picked that up as well. And from there, started going around within those two markets, talking to dentists that were approaching the tail end of their careers, that wanted to find a way to maybe spend the next couple of years still doing dentistry because they weren't ready to just sit at home yet, but also were kind of over the whole practice management side of things. And so we went through the process of acquiring and merging with a number of doctors on the tail end of their careers and giving them kind of a graceful, smooth exit from clinical practice and from practice management to whatever they had lined up or envisioned for the next chapter in their lives. So
John, real quick, a point I want to make there is that it's always been a very big frustration to me that we as dentists, we view our practice and what we've built as our retirement. And that can go up and down, but the trend is generally upward. But the problem is that most of us don't realize that we have an expiration date. We don't begin planning for our retirement nearly soon enough, because then whenever you're looking at getting it acquired, you've got a practice that's on the decline for the last 2 or 3 years, and you've got to scramble to make the numbers look like something someone's wanting to buy. So I really like this idea of yours of kind of easing them into retirement before, the numbers really hit the dirt.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny you mentioned that. On the last 2 acquisitions or the M&As that we kind of went through, we, to an extent, I was serving as as the acquirer of their practice, but also as their consultant, as they were trying to navigate what that acquisition looks like, what the ramifications were from a tax perspective, from a retirement planning and life planning perspective, and helping guide these doctors to make sure that those last few years they spent, they were, in one case, even helping to set the value of the practice on the way out, and maximize what their return would look like on the practice, but also to help them realize, hey, your last few years here of income earning off your hands from your clinical practice need to be very intelligently and effectively invested, because the check you're getting for the practice itself, while great, is not going to be enough to get you where you want to go. And it was alarming to see the number of dentists that were that close to the end and were that out of touch with what the end looked like and what it required of them.
I think they don't take into account the capital gains tax whenever you sell something as large as a practice, and a lot of them don't have vehicles prepared. I mean, those of us who have really looked into practice sales and we kind of get it, we'll do something like we'll start a trust, and then we'll have the trust loan us the money, and then we'll put the money into the trust, and then we don't pay taxes on that until like 30 years from now, and then we take out a life insurance policy to pay the taxes in 30 years. It can be a complex thing if you want to, I don't want to say avoid taxes, but rather mitigate them, perhaps is a better word.
Nothing wrong with tax avoidance. Look, tax avoidance means not paying what you don't need to pay.
Right? I love it.
I'm all for, if I need to pay it, I'm gonna pay it. Okay. But if I don't need to, I'm not going to be duped into it because I just didn't do my due diligence.
Absolutely.
Because I think the most efficient way to use capital is to keep it in our hands and put it to good work, whether that be in charitable efforts or in community service or in taking care of family, whatever that may be. It's more efficient in my hands than it is in Uncle Sam's.
I was going to say, I've always believed that I'm a far better manager of my money than Uncle Sam would ever be. But, John, that might be something that you want to add on to your list of things that you consult with, because I know that you've kind of figured out where you can get the best bang for your buck in these practice sales and things like that. I think it would be a great thing to add, and I think you would really serve a lot of people. But there's another side to your business, which I'm really excited about, and that's that you're helping young dentists get into some of these practices and helping young dentists to start their own startups. So talk to us a little bit about that other side of your business.
Yeah, I mean, there's you go to dental school and you spend a lot of time getting tested on how to prep a crown or place a filling, but maybe not as much on how to hire, how to coach, how to lead a team, how to balance your P&Ls, how to even read a P&L, profit and loss statement. There are a lot of these aspects of dental practice that I was fortunate enough to initially associate with a couple of dentists who were really business savvy and were willing to impart some of that knowledge. I grew up in a family of private practice owners as well. My mom's a dentist. My father was a physician that ran a group urgent care as well. And so that idea of small business ownership and entrepreneurialism coupled with healthcare, with the healthcare profession, was very much innate from a young age for me. And it drew me to the kind of mentors and doctors that I thought could that clearly seemed to have a good grasp on all the stuff aside from drilling, filling, that you needed to know to be a meaningful.
You can't even use the third one, because almost everyone knows how to drill and fill, but most of us screw up the billing portion of it as well.
Yep. That's why I didn't say it. I was like, because most people are good at the drill and fill. It's the bill part, and that's possibly an oversimplification to call it just billing. But yes, just that whole other side of the logistics and revenue aspect of running a practice that too many doctors are just kind of firing blind on, and they're doing their best, or so they think. But there's a lot of tried and true methods. There's a lot of clear ways to read your numbers, to see your practice, to look at team building, that I find a lot of doctors seem to just not have had the exposure to early enough in their careers. And then by the time they realize they need it, maybe they're knee deep in a couple of the mistakes they made early on, and course correction is so much harder than setting the course initially. You're going to avoid a lot of loss, a lot of stress, a lot of sleepless nights. And that's my goal. I went through a couple of them, but not too many, because I had good mentorship. And if I can kind of pay that forward to the next generation of doctor coming through, then I'll have left the mark that I would like to leave on the industry.
I totally get it. You know, my thing is I was a serial entrepreneur before I became a dentist. I became a dentist because I almost died from a dental infection. And so, you know, for me, it was a second career, but I'd already owned a few businesses. I knew how to run a business, and I think that's made really all the difference for me. You know, we were kind of chatting beforehand, and you're kind of getting to the position where I currently am, which is awesome. One of the things that came up is some of the things that you've done to streamline in your practice and to make things more efficient and more effective. And one of those things is the adoption of a new POS, or a new EHR really, which is CareStack. Tell us a little bit about your experiences with CareStack and how it has made your practices more efficient or optimized, you know, billing or what have you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, as we grew to multi-location and we were consolidating multiple practice databases, you know, you'd have the office on Eaglesoft and the office on Open Dental and the office on whatever it was, various softwares out there. And we were now tasked with bringing that all together, but wanting to do so in a way that allowed the locations to operate holistically as best as possible. We wanted to find, the goal was to consolidate on some of the administrative and logistics tasks. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I'm in the Bay Area. Our labor costs here, our costs period, are astronomical compared to national averages. And so for me, reducing the amount of square footage necessary, the number of bodies necessary or minds necessary to get tasks done in the office, finding repetitive administrative tasks that could be, whether it be outsourced or automated, all of that was clearly an integral part to being viable as a business, being able to deal with insurances and bill a rate that patients could handle while still being profitable in the Bay Area and providing a living wage to our employees, the ones that we did keep on. So one of the steps we took was looking at, you know, we realized we wanted to take our patient databases into the cloud. We wanted to centralize them. We wanted people to be able to unlock work from home, whether, you know, using voice over IP and our EHR, and allow people to work from home, work from another country, work from another state where labor costs are lower, outsourcing to different third-party vendors that could take care of certain repetitive tasks for us, unlocking automation tools. And we knew getting into the cloud was going to be a big part of that. So we did an exhaustive search, and we got to the 11th hour on another company that's not CareStack, thinking that we were going to roll with them. And through that process of onboarding with that first competitor out there that we strongly considered, we started to realize there were aspects of moving into the cloud that we didn't initially realize were important, like how are we going to handle as we grow and hire? We were in a growth phase as a practice. How are we going to handle training new team members that came in, and making that a more efficient process where I didn't have to cannibalize the efforts and time of an existing team member for weeks just to bring someone else that wasn't yet competent up to the level of competency to be a value add.
That is a huge point. Now, I think a lot of people don't actually put a number to that. It costs, depending upon how much the person makes per hour and how much the person training them makes per hour, between $10,000 and $40,000 to train a new hire up to 100% training, and that's a lot of money. And if you can find a way to do that more effectively, like through a CRM or something like that, or an LRM, which is what I believe you're going to talk about as CareStack University, then it really, really behooves you. By the way, shout out to Vu Lee, who's also a practitioner out in California. We talk about costs all the time. And I say that now because I just realized that since I don't have my blinds down on my studio, my face is overlit on the right-hand side, and he's going to call me up after this, and he's going to complain. So, Vu, I already know, man. I shit the bed. I'll get the blinds down next time.
So, yeah, shout out to Vu. He's a good dude out here in California. So we jumped on with this first company we talked to, and as we went through the training process, we quickly recognized that this was going to be it was going to still be a very manual process to get every new employee on our existing employee base up to a point of even remote competency. And then once I was introduced to CareStack University, as you alluded to, we saw, wow, to have this automated track that we could create for all the different job descriptions on our team. We have these predefined tracks now. Oh, you're coming in as a PCC, a patient care coordinator. Here's your track. And you just hand them this curriculum that was very much self-directed with tests to show, how well they were taking this data in. And then once we saw that they had supposedly completed a certain amount of exams, we could allow them to start working with some supervision on certain initial tasks in the practice and quickly assess whether or not they were taking the classes seriously.
Absolutely.
And it's been remarkably efficient. It saved us a ton from a cost perspective and a stress perspective.
Well, long story here. Whenever I checked out CareStack, I actually was in the process of developing an LRM to help other people teach their front desks how to do insurance and how to do basic front desk stuff. And when I saw it, I went, well, they already got this. And I was a little disappointed, but it was exciting to see because it's so very well done. Oh goodness, it would have taken me 4 or 5 years to get to the point where they are right now. It's really an impressive piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, they have really assembled a remarkable team as when it comes to their dev team, customer service. The responsiveness has been remarkable. That was another thing that we kind of juxtaposed against our initial experience. And then subsequently, I should say, we were 24 hours away from going live with somebody else. And then I was getting overwhelming feedback from my whole team, my brother, who happens to be another dentist, and my partner, and saying, John, this doesn't feel right. We're not there. We're not even close to there yet. It's going to be a shit show tomorrow if we start using this tomorrow. And so we backed out last second. And I'm so thankful we did, because in the back of my mind, I thought, CareStack might be the one for us. And if I'm being honest, I went elsewhere only because someone else offered it for a little cheaper. And I followed the dollar just for a second there. And I quickly realized you get what you pay for.
Well, absolutely. And I'll put a real fine point on that too, with the different services that CareStack offers. Now there are some bolt-on services that CareStack will offer that's not part of their normal package, but with all the different things that CareStack does offer, looking at apples to apples, it's actually a great deal if you're using those. Those pieces of software. I mean, if you're using something like Yappy for paperless and you're using, Call Source or whatever for your reviews and whatnot, you're going to spend a whole lot more. It's just cheaper doesn't always end up being cheaper.
No, for sure. And to be clear, when I was initially comparing the cloud solutions I was looking at to my original setup of paying for, we were actually using Yappy. It's funny you mentioned, Yappy plus a patient engagement software platform that we were using, plus the support for our on-prem EHR. No, this was still an excellent value. But as I was looking at cloud, there was one other cloud software. It was running for cheaper, but I quickly realized again, I was getting less. And I was going to pay that cost when it came to things like you mentioned, like cost of training. And whatever you're paying per month for these services, you just said $10,000 to $40,000. A $10,000 to $40,000 expense per new employee, that trumps whatever the heck we were going to spend on software by orders of magnitude.
Well, whenever I sold my practice or partnered with MB2, I should say, Dr. V, Chris heads the place up. He said something to me once that just blew my mind. He said, well, I talked to this guy one day and he bought a coffee for all of his team members every single day. He had 6 team members. He spent $2.99 on each one of those team members. So, $3 times
48.
6 people is $18 per day times, 7 days a week, or 4 days a week times 52 weeks in a year. And he actually did the math, and he showed me that cup of coffee had cost that doctor, when they sold their practice in just EBITDA, because they bought it through the company, had cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. So it's really a big deal, guys. What's that?
Or just in the actual cost of buying those coffees?
No, with the EBITDA multiple. I never thought that way before partnering with them, is the multiples that go with those earnings. And so it's a real big deal, guys. If you can cut the strings on all of those subscriptions, if you're not suffering from subscription fatigue yet, think about EBITDA multiples and just how much money it's costing you every freaking month to have all those services. And nothing against Yappy. It's a fantastic service. Gina Dorfman is good people, but CareStack does it well too, and it does it for nothing above the normal subscription cost of CareStack. Hey guys, now a quick word about our sponsor. I'm really excited to announce that we've partnered with United Medical Credit to offer an exclusive deal just to TBOD members. Now, United Medical Credit is a patient financing provider with a unique waterfall lending process. It allows them to approve a much wider range of applicants. In fact, the widest range of applicants in the entire field. I've been using United Medical Credit in my practice for a couple of years now, and I'm seeing great results. They really speak for themselves. I see at least 30% increase in the number of patients who are actually approved whenever going through UMC. And the best part is, patients are accepting treatment. More acceptance, more patients means more revenue. Right now, they're offering TVOD members a special discount of 0% merchant fees until the end of the year. That's right, until the end of 2021, you get 0% merchant fees charged. And they're going to give you a 30% discount for life after that. Now, if you want to claim this offer for your practice, go to www.unitedmedicalcredit.com/TBOD, or as always, you can go to Doc Off Investments, click on the deal section, look up UMC, and register. Thanks a lot, guys, and UMC, thanks for sponsoring.
Yeah. And you mentioned the add-ons. So we are using one of their add-on modules or add-on services from an RCM standpoint, a revenue cycle management side of things. And that was one of the other reasons we ended up choosing them. In exploring their insurance module and how you input insurance information, I hadn't previously run into a platform that allowed you to customize the exceptions for insurances and the nuance to such a granular level, which was amazing when you consider, wow, if all of this was plugged in correctly, from hygiene chair to getting the patient to walk into the front desk, how quickly can I give a super accurate treatment plan? It was second to none. The issue was,
awesome.
How much time is it going to take for me to plug all that stuff, or my team member of mine, to plug all those details into that insurance profile so that we could give patients that effective or that is super efficient and super accurate plan. And so when we realized that CareStack had a team dedicated at a very cost-efficient price point to doing all the insurance breakdowns and eligibility for us.
It really makes it a no-brainer, especially when you look at the cost of your own employees doing it. And, these guys do nothing else. A specialist is always more efficient. One of the things that you brought up there that I found very compelling, in fact, it was actually the thing that whenever I first took a look at CareStack, because whenever they approached me, they said, hey, look, just look at CareStack University, see what it really looks like when it's running, play with it. We have this hospital set up you can mess around with. When I ran a treatment plan and it came back immediately with the crown on number 18 is going to be refused by the insurance because of this clause, and it had a great big old red exclamation point, my whole career flashed before my eyes, and I thought about every single time that one of my front desk forgot to mention or forgot to check, or the insurance didn't tell us that was a game changer for me. And it's such a little thing that whenever you look at everything else that CareStack does, it gets lost in the maze of everything that it does. But that's so important. I mean, just think about, I'm a huge efficiency guy. Like I have like 6 burrs in my burr block, right? So
yes.
So you know where I'm coming from on that.
I can sit on that soapbox for an hour.
No doubt.
Number of doctors I see that, oh my God, they put out like 25
key clicks. You know, looking at Dentrix, and you've got to do, from this view, you have to do 6 key clicks. From this view, it's 12 key clicks. From this view, it's 18 key clicks. And I'm like, that's so inefficient, because then you have to train every single person in your practice differently instead of training them one way. That was another huge thing for me with CareStack, is that you train them one specific method and it works in every screen, you know?
And imagine when you compound the key click inefficiency with page loads. Well, now if you're going into the cloud, those key clicks also mean it's going to take a second for that information to get populated and come over the internet into your browser window. So
absolutely,
for me, reducing the number of page loads and key clicks was a huge thing. And I loved the view. So I'm also a big fan of, if I'm going to use an on-prem software, I loved OpenDental. And what I loved about OpenDental was that kind of one screen look where you're able to move around from the.
I completely agree. I was the same way. I switched to OpenDental from Dentrix because of that.
Bingo. I went from EagleSoft to OpenDental, and then in one of our practices. But then as we were consolidating it all, and I knew I wanted to take it into the cloud, CareStack was the service that offered the most comparable UX. And to me, that was huge. And the efficiencies they were striving for, and also the flexibility they were giving. That, I mean, they have a really cool group on Facebook where if you mention inefficiencies, they're actually making changes. Fix it. They actually give a crap what we have to say.
Did you ever request something fixed from Dentrix or EagleSoft?
No, I wouldn't even try it. To be honest, I wouldn't.
I did. And they told me that they would put it into the queue, but that they only made 6 corrections a year or some shit like that, and that I only had 2 times I could request it. What? What kind of customer service?
Software. How is that? Are you a sports fan at all?
No, but I think someone is looking at your room.
Well, me, just a little bit. There are sports where coaches are allowed to challenge a ref's call if they think the ref made a mistake, and they put a limit on the number of challenges, which I get for time savings. But it amazes me that even if the coach gets all the challenges right, they still have a limit. And you think to yourself, but the refs.
That's right. We're allowed to do it wrong a whole lot.
Yeah, that's right. So that's crazy that they'd only let you make 2 requests a year. They have 10
so are you into playing sports at all, or are you just into watching sports, or what?
I play basketball. I wish I was better at it, but I definitely find it's one of the few things I can do that, you know, you work out because you have to, in part because my wife makes me, but which God bless her for it. But
we married the same woman, evidently.
Yeah, exactly right. But basketball's one of the few things that, like, she doesn't have to make me do. You know, I'm looking for opportunities to go out. I'll get a few calories in. My watch tells me, "Good job, John," and I'm like, "That was fun too." So yeah,
next time you're down in Texas, because you've got to come out here. We've already kind of talked that we have to hang out after this, because I just really enjoyed meeting you. I will bring you out. I own a dojo. I have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dojo. My wife's a blue belt. I'm a lowly white belt. I did lots of martial arts as a kid, but I think you would enjoy it. It's my
brother-in-law does jiu-jitsu. He competes, actually. He was in Vegas competing like a month ago.
My wife was too. That's crazy.
Oh, that's why. I bet you're there at the same tournament.
IBJJF.
You're probably right.
Yeah, but it's alphabet soup of stuff, you know.
Yeah, I'll text him afterwards and ask him. I'll let you know, but. Yeah, he's a big fan. He swears by it. He's got my niece in it too. She loves it. It sounds like fun. And I frequent a couple of podcasts that are avid jiu-jitsu fans. So it's not you're not the first guy to kind of.
Well, Joe Rogan for one, definitely. And
that was the main one.
Jocko, right? So
yeah.
There's one last thing I wanted to talk about and just kind of bring things around, and that is you are also on the board of directors of an aligner company. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I recently started working with and invested in, and this was one of the, when it goes back to our consulting, it's actually Palm Dental's got a consulting and investment firm branch to it. And we ended up investing in and getting involved with a clear aligner company called Simple Aligners. They're a startup, young company, nimble, and the mission there is to try to make clear aligner therapy and orthodontic therapy more accessible to the public, but without, you've seen the Smile Direct clubs that said, hey, we're going to bring down costs. At what expense? At what expense? Right? You got what you paid for with them. You cut the doctor out of the equation. How many times were people getting aligners put on teeth that were, poor perio, decay, whatever it may be?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't, the patient doesn't know any better, and the doctor's disengaged from the process.
And it just fuels that race to the bottom, where there's no doctor oversight, and what you end up with is mail in over the counter medicine, which is not great for anybody.
Yeah, DIY medicine. And look, is there a place for certain elements of healthcare to be potentially DIY'd when it comes to super low entry level stuff? And is technology unlocking some of that? Sure, some of it. This ain't it. This is not it. And you're seeing, and Smile Direct Club went through the process of trying to attack a very large segment of the the available cases in the market, and realizing, oh crap, maybe we shouldn't be doing a lot of these cases because we're getting ourselves into trouble. And they've had to narrow what they can even touch. And so there's a huge portion of the available and needed orthodontic treatment throughout the country that for some people, the price point is just inaccessible currently. And a lot of that's a byproduct of the fact that the clear aligner manufacturers, especially the biggest one in the game, whom I will leave nameless, the Voldemort clear aligners, they are charging an exorbitant rate to the doctors that then is passed along to the patient. And so the mission,
and I'll tell you, with 3D printing, it used to not be true that you could 3D print aligners and they would work well. You can now. And it used to be true that there were only certain plastics that even with a suck down application, positive pressure, it was expensive. That's not true anymore. And I have to say, in full disclosure, I actually purchased a small part of this company a long, long time ago. And it kind of grew at a slow rate. But, I got an update this morning from you. Talk to me a little bit about how things are working now, and the benefits of joining, and how people can actually join up with this.
Yeah, they've brought on a couple of really smart young people within the dental space in the last about year and a half or so to try to invigorate these efforts, and we've grown exponentially in the last year. Already brought on a number of investors to help kind of fuel what we're trying to do, and we've expanded in the market. I think we've probably doubled in size when it comes to our clients, the number of practices we're working with, our affiliate practices, in the last 3 months. So we've had some pretty strong growth. It's called Simple Aligners. You can look them up, simplealigners.com. And we're looking for, the approach is two-pronged. On one end, we want to be able to communicate to patients out there, hey, there's an alternative that maybe isn't at that premium price point that you're accustomed to hearing from your dentist when they suggest to you the biggest clear aligner manufacturer in the country, that has done an excellent job of being first to market, and has done an excellent job of marketing the hell out of themselves so that their name is synonymous with clear aligners, in the same way that we say Kleenex rather than tissue paper. So you didn't need to pay, we're trying to let patients know you don't have to take that premium. There are other excellent, effective options out there that maybe don't spend as much on marketing and aren't, running commercials during the Super Bowl, but are, in our case, a superior product. We're using a plastic that's infinitely more comfortable. Zendura Flex is what the material is called.
I like the scalloping. I actually got a pair of retainers made for myself, which one of the great services that they provided is that retainer service. I like the scalloping. It was very, very comfortable.
It was, I mean, I've tried the aligners. Look, I didn't want to jump into this. We were providing that big company for a long time. I was trained by that big company on everything I know in clear aligners. They were affiliated with my dental school because our dental school was a research facility for them many years ago when they were first starting out here in the Bay Area. So
that real quick answers the question earlier on Facebook this week: should Delta Dental be having branches of dental schools named after them? And the answer is no.
Hell no. That's a question. That's not even a question. We are as a profession, we have become increasingly beholden to the oligarchy of dentistry, and it's just a few entities right up at the top that are really pulling the strings. It even makes it hard for organized dentistry. While I believe that a lot of organized dentistry on a government level, the folks that I know that are involved in a lot of these associations, these state associations or local societies, their intentions are pure. A lot of them want to do good. They want to help keep dentistry honest, keep the integrity up, keep the quality of work up, transparency to our patient base, the ability for us to operate as colleagues, not as competitors. They want these things for us, but it only takes a few with a lot of power and a lot of influence and a lot of money to make that very difficult. And the longer we take as a group to open our eyes to what's taking place around us and not protect our profession and the integrity of our industry, the harder it's going to get for us to prevent them from wiping us out and taking over. And they're getting pretty darn close. But thank the Lord for guys like you, man, who are out there and trying to fight the good fight and keeping dentists in communication. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, if we don't talk to each other, man, it's easy to think that the dentist down the road is my enemy because we're fighting for the same.
No, your enemy's Best Buy and Carnival Cruise Lines. That's who you're competing against. It's not the dentist down the street.
Not at all. Not at all. Those guys are and I've made a conscious effort, at least within the two towns that our practices are in. I want to connect with as many of them as possible and make sure that we realize we are better having each other's back and protecting the profession together than we are trying to race to the bottom, undercut one another.
Absolutely.
Because neither of us benefit from that.
So whenever we came on the air, you said, hey, look, kind of what are the rules of your podcast? I've talked to you a little bit and you curse and I just don't want to offend anyone, but you haven't cursed. And you said, hey, I might curse, but you haven't cursed. So I think you should say something like, CareStack is fucking awesome. Or like, awesome. Oh, I like it. And what do you...
if I'm going to use a curse word on here, I will save it for something that matters. CareStack is fucking awesome. And I've had an excellent experience with them. I will also say, I think Simple is fucking awesome. If I'm going to whip out the F-bomb
there you go.
It. And
you heard it right here. Dr. John Nakhla dropped the F-bomb twice in a row.
Yeah, no, I strongly encourage, if you're listening today, I think we want to stay competitive in this space. We got to find ways to trim fat as practice owners and as entrepreneurs. And that is not just purely to maximize our own profits, but it's also to be the most responsible healthcare facilities and entities we can in our communities. And so, when I look at something like CareStack, I saw an opportunity to reduce waste and find efficiency in how I brought care to the community. And by doing so, of course, does that help my bottom line? Yes. This is not volunteer work. We're all here trying to do good, but also to do well, right? And this has helped me do well.
One of my favorite sayings, Bruce Beard, do good by doing well. Or do well by doing good, rather. I'm sorry. So guys, if you're looking for another way to cut the waste in your practice, stop paying hourly employees to sit and rummage through all of the specials of every single Dental Patterson or Henry Schein or whoever you're buying your stuff from. Take a look at Crazy Dental. Go to DocHoffInvestments.com. Take a look at Doc's deals, and you will find that you will get the best deals every time. You just send them what you want, and they'll price shop for you. And you're welcome.
Yes, we've had that experience. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Crazy Dental. We've had a great
They're
experience.
awesome, aren't they?
Oh, dude, it's
No,
it's like
give me another
a special
F-bomb.
buyer for
Give me another F-bomb, John.
I think I already dropped one. Crazy Dental, also fucking awesome.
I love it.
There you go.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. John's going to tell you a little bit about how you can get in touch with him for consulting and how you can find out a little bit more about CareStack and integrating them into your practice. I already told you where you can find out about Crazy Dental, but John, I also want you to talk to us. Drop the website. Where can they reach you if they need help?
Absolutely. You can find me at, it doesn't get much easier than this. Palm, P-A-L-M, .dental is the URL for the consulting firm, which interestingly enough, my last name, Nakhla, means palm tree in Arabic. So that's where that came from. Palm.dental for the consulting firm, simplealigners.com and carestack.com. If I'm going to send you home with 3 URLs, all 3 fucking awesome.
I love it. Hey, John, real quick. Are you Muslim?
No, I'm actually of the small minority in Egypt that is Christian.
Oh man, I'm going to have to waste this though. So
Go for it.
It's a point of pride for me. I like to learn how to say thank you, and I like to learn how to give people blessings in every language.
We use a lot of the same terminology, so it won't be lost on me.
So Arabic would be shukran for
Shukran.
thank you. And
Yes.
assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh.
Wow. The pronunciation, it's not the fact that you knew the words. That's cool. But you even pronounce them right. Impressive.
Dude, I'm taking that. I'm taking that
Golf
home.
clap. From
I love it.
Eastern man here, golf clap, my man.
So, guys, you have been here with Doc Hoffpower and Dr. John Nakhla. He is going to have to come out and join me. And, you know, I wouldn't want to make him a bad Muslim. So, since he's Christian, I can offer him scotch, which works. So, next time you come out, I'll give you a little scotch. We'll have some fun.
I'm a big Scot. We need to get together and we need to share a glass.
That we do. I tell you what, Balvenie is just about my favorite. Ortbeg, a couple of others.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'll see you soon.
Well, guys, thank you again for joining us for the Dear Doc podcast. I hope that you learned something today and you found some tools that you can put into your toolbox that will make your life just a little bit easier. Again, John, thank you for joining us. And
Thanks for having me.
folks, check out CareStack, check out Crazy Dental, and check out Palm.Dental Consulting. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Do you feel like you are wasting your time and money marketing your dental practice? The fact is, most marketing companies are not focused on your best interests. They focus on their profit. At Art of Dental Marketing, our engagements are month to month, allowing you a low risk and foundational level to build trust as we build real solutions. Right now, TBOD members can enjoy exclusive discounted pricing on our ultra-fast websites and local SEO services. Visit us online at artofdentalmarketing.com or call us at 913-214-8502.
Thanks for listening to the Dear Doc podcast, your source for the business and legal questions associated with your dental practice. Don't forget to subscribe to the Dear Doc podcast on all major platforms.